appreciation. A little bit less admirable. Okay. Andrew, could I put you to work because it's your bar mitzvah son?
Sure.
Yeah. Okay, please turn to page 152. Okay, so we have the story. Avi, you ready to go?
Yeah.
Okay, let's start now. We have the story of Yaakov running away from his brother Esav. On his father's command, his mother's advice, he runs away, he leaves home for the very first time, and he's going out into the wilderness. He goes to the family of his mother's brother, the family of Lavan. He meets the beautiful Rachel at the well. Where do you meet a girl? Andrew, at the well, not in college, not in a bar, at a well, not on the apps. And he falls in love instantaneously. He loves her. He goes over to the home of Lavan, and he agrees to work for Rachel for 7 years. Then he gets Leah. Then he agrees to work for another 7 years for Rachel. So a total of 14 years. So now he's married to Rachel and Leah. Rachel was the beloved one, and Leah was the one that he was kind of stuck with. The famous verse, Vayhi baboker vehinehi Leah. He woke up in the morning, they exchanged. That's what happens. You have separate, you have big mechitzas at the wedding. She had a great veil covering her face. He didn't know who he married. And in the morning he sees that Leah is the one whom he's married. And he's in shock. And he comes screaming at his father-in-law. Why did you lie to me? So obviously that creates a dynamic. Rachel is the beloved wife, and Leah is the one who almost became, she's our mother. We're descendants of Leah. Just think about it. Most of the Jewish people today are descendants of Leah, not descendants of Rachel. Because the tribes that survived is the tribe of Yehuda and the tribe of Levi, a little bit of Benjamin. So Levi and Yehuda are both tribes, the children of Leah. So we're Leah's children. And let's read about the birth of the first children of Leah. Look at verse 30. Verse 31. Vayar Hashem ki snua Leah, vayiftach et rachma v'rachel hakara. Hashem saw that Leah was unloved, so he opened her womb, but Rachel remained barren. V'tahar Leah v'teled ben. And she conceived and bore a son. V'tikra shmo Reuven, ki amra ki ra'a Hashem be'oni, ki ata yehevani ishi. She calls him Reuven. What is the source of the name of Reuven? As she had declared, because Hashem has discerned my humiliation, for now my husband will love me. Okay? Today we name after grandparents, great-grandparents, Back then, people gave names based on what they felt, the emotion they felt at the moment. The prophecy, it's kind of they define their children by what was going in their hearts. It's like a spiritual experience. It's like a prophetic decision. Hasidic masters write that every parent, when they name a child, they have a Ruach HaKodesh, a divine spirit, to guide them to give the proper name to the children. It's one of the things that parents have almost complete control over their children. A child could change the name, but your given name is always your given name. The name you received is usually the name you're going to die with. So in a way, it's one of the powerful things that parents get to choose how to define and how to shape their children. So number one is Reuven. God saw my affliction. Now my husband will love me. ותהר עוד ותלד בן ותאמר כי שמע השם כי שנואה אנוכי וייתן לי גם את זה ותקרא שמו שמעון. She has the second son, and she declares because Hashem has heard that I am unloved. First Hashem saw, Reuven is lirot. Now Hashem heard. What's more powerful, to see or to hear? So in Judaism, it's Shema Yisrael. It's about listening more than seeing. Okay? וייתן לי גם את זה ותקרא שמו שמעון. ותר עוד ותלד בן ותולד אתה ותאמר, and she said, אתה הפעם ילווה אישי אליי. Now my husband will become attached to me. ילווה, will accompany me. ליווי, so to speak, will walk me through, will escort me. My husband will be with me. Why? Because כי ילדתי לו 3 בנים, על כן קרא שמו לוי. That's why she calls his name Levi. ותר עוד ותלד בן ותאמר, הפעם אודה את השם. על כן קרא שמו יהודה, ותעמוד מלדת. She has another child, a 4th child, and she says, now, הפעם, this time, let me gratefully praise Hashem. Therefore she called his name Yehuda, then she stopped giving birth. So Judah, the reason we're called Jews is because of the name of Judah. We're called Jews, Zhids. It's all from the name Yehudi, it's from the name Yehuda. And what the source of how we are called today, almost 4,000 years after this occurred, is because Leah felt gratitude toward Hashem. It says no one gave gratitude to God until Leah came. No one gave gratitude, no one named a child. His name was gratitude. And if name is gratitude, we had to discuss this as we discussed Thanksgiving. But it's interesting. In English, it's called Thanksgiving. Perhaps if it would be a Jewish holiday, we would name it slightly different. You don't give thanks, what do? We'll see in a moment. But why does she thank Hashem? Why does she thank Hashem only now?
Well, it says here that she had a fair portion of the sons.
Okay, you look at the commentaries. She knows that there are going to be 12 tribes. So after she has 3, she has her fair. She's one of 4 wives, so she has at least 3. The moment she has 4, she's already more than her share. She defeated the national average, so to speak. Okay.
Why not name the state of Israel after Judea, the Jewish state? Why call it Israel?
So it's a great question. Why did Ben Gurion call the state of Israel Israel? You know, there were two states. There's Judea and Israel. It was the northern kingdom, the 10 tribes. But the truth is, Judea and Samaria, we have Judea was, the later Judea was smaller than probably today's, depending on the borders. But our name is, we're Jews. We're known as Jews. Judah defines our identity. So there are a few important pieces over here, and I want you to take a look at the source sheet. Take a look.
Last word in the Torah is Israel.
Correct. The next, look at source 2, Bereshit Memtet, Bereshit 49:10. לא יסור שבט מיהודה ומחוקק מבין רגליו עד כי יבוא שילה ולא יקרא תמים. Jacob gives a blessing to his sons. This is actually, it's not a very easy moment because Jacob is giving blessings and he's giving rebuke. And the blessing he gives to his son, to Yehuda, what does he say? The ruler's staff should not depart between his feet. He gives him the blessing of kingship, that he shall be a king, ad ki yavo Shiloh. And the homage of people be his. What is ad ki yavo Shiloh? Some commentators explain that this is actually, until the time of the Messiah, all the kings have to reign from Judah. Why is Judah the king of Israel? What is something about him that makes him king? Levi Yitzchak of Berditchev speaks in depth about gratitude as being the source of his kingship. In order to be king, you have to be able to have gratitude. I'd like to expand on the aspect of gratitude a little bit more. Let's take a look. Look at the Tosefta, source 3. The Tosefta in Brachot says, Reb Tarfon said to them, to his students, I will ask you another question. They said to them, teach us our master. He said to them, why did the tribe of Yehuda merit the kingship of Israel? They said to him, because Yehuda admitted that he impregnated Tamar. It happened once with 4 elders that they were sitting in the gatehouse of Rabbi Yeshua, Elazar ben Matya, Chanina ben Chachinai, Shimon ben Azai, and Shimon Temani. And they were involved in discussing what Rabbi Tarfon taught of them. Why did the tribe of Yehuda merit the kingship of Israel? Because Yehuda admitted that he impregnated Tamar. You know the story of Judah and Tamar? This is the story that they skip in all the yeshiva day schools. They don't teach that. But today, since we're not in a yeshiva day school, we can learn it together. Open the parasha of Vayeshev. Page 208. And this is a story, this is right after the sale of Joseph. And there's the chapter 38 starts. It was at a time that Judah went down from his brothers and turned away towards an Adulamite man. Judah went down from his brothers. What does it mean he went down? After he sold Joseph, horidu migdulato. At the end of the day, they blamed him. Even though they all supported the sale of Joseph as a slave. But then they had it's easy being a Monday morning quarterback. They said, you know what? Judah, you were the leader of the brothers. If you would have told us not to sell him, we would have listened to you. And because you did not do that, you're kind of losing your status as leader of the family. So he leaves. And this is kind of, he goes to this man named Hira. There Judah saw a daughter of a prominent merchant whose name was Shua. He married her and toured her with her. She conceived and bore a son, and he called his name Er. She conceived again and bore a son, and she called his name Onan. And yet again she bore a son, and she called his name Shelah. And it was in Kziv when she bore him. Judah took a wife for Er, his firstborn. Her name was Tamar. So Judah gets married and has 3 sons. Er grows up. It's time to get married. Judah helps him with the shidduch. And he takes a woman by the name of Tamar. But Judah's firstborn, was evil in the eyes of Hashem, and Hashem caused him to die. The Judah said to Onan, consort with your brother's wife, and enter into levirate marriage with her, and establish offspring for your brother. Again, this is one of the first, the concept of yibum, that if someone dies without children, we don't do it today. In biblical times, again, if both of them agreed, the brother would marry the wife of his deceased brother, they would establish a name, and if they would have a child, a son, they would name him after the deceased brother. So that's what Judah tells his younger brother to do. A tragedy happened. Was kind of a way to rebuild the home. But Onan knew that his seed would not be his. So it was that whenever he would consort with his brother's wife, he would let it waste the ground. Basically, he made sure she did not become pregnant. He was not interested in having a child that would be named after his brother. Also not a great guy, okay? What he did was evil in the eyes of Hashem, and he caused him to die also. So basically, Judah helped sell his brother Yosef, and now he lost his leadership role among the brothers of the sons of Jacob. He leaves, he gets married, and has 3 children. 2 of them are dead. So kind of he's getting punished already. His punishment for selling Joseph is coming quick. So technically speaking, what should Tamar do now? 2 of her husbands have died. What should she do? So he told her, then Judah said to Tamar's daughter-in-law, remain a widow in your father's house until my son Shelah grows up. For he thought lest he also die like his brothers. So Tamar went and lived in her father's house. On one hand, Shelah should marry Tamar and establish a home. On the other hand, Judah is kind of like, listen, she's bad luck. The first 2 husbands are dead. This is my last son. I don't want to lose him. So he says, you know what? Go wait in your father's home. So go wait in your father's home seems like a very polite statement. Bottom line, she's kind of stuck. As long as she's supposed to marry the younger brother, her life is on hold. And she can't marry anyone else. And people do not like being stuck. It's not fair to be stuck, especially when it's not your fault. Many days has passed since Shua's daughter, the wife of Judah, died, when Judah was consoled. So now Judah's wife passed away. So Judah lost his leadership role, he lost his 2 sons, and now he lost his wife. He has 1 son left, and he has a daughter-in-law who's waiting to marry that son. But he's scared to let that happen. So he goes to Timnah. Tamar was told and follows, behold, your father-in-law is coming to Timnah to shear his sheep. So she removed her widow's garb from upon her, covered herself with a veil, and wrapped herself up. She then sat by the crossroads, which is on the road towards Timnah. For she saw that Shelah had grown up, and she had not been given him as a wife. He graduated high school. He went for a gap year in Israel. He graduated college. He got his master's degree. And no one's calling. No one's setting up a time for a chuppah. So what did she do? When she sat outside, when Judah saw her, he thought her to be a harlot, since she had covered her face. Back then, that was probably the tradition. So he detoured to her by the road and said, come, if you please, let me consort with you. For he did not know that she was his daughter. And she said, what will he give me if you consort with me? If I'd send you a kid of the goats from the flock. And she said, back then there was no credit cards. So how is he going to pay? There was no Bitcoin. He says, I have flock, I'll give you flock. She said, provide you leave a pledge. So he said, how do I know you'll keep your word? You need to leave a deposit. So he said, what pledge shall I give you? What do you want? She replied, your signet, your wrap, and your staff that is in your hand. These are not expensive, probably, maybe the signet was worth something. But it's your personal, it's your wallet. It's your personal identification. So now she has what they call in the KGB calls it compromat. When they have material over you, they have a file over you, that you better behave. Okay? Then she arose, left, and removed her veil from upon her, and she put on her widow's garb. Judah sent the kid of goats through his friend the Dulamite to retrieve the pledge from the woman. So Judah thought, obviously the woman is going to want the flock. So he's going to get it back. But guess what? She didn't want the flock. She wanted a signet. She was very smart. If she would say, I want your signet and your staff, you would be concerned to give it to her. Because she says, I want your money, you were sure that as soon as he comes with the payment, she's gonna give back the signet and the staff. But guess what? He sent one of his people, one of his servants, but he did not find her. He inquired of the people of the place, where's the prostitute? The one at the crossroads by the road. And they said there was no prostitute here. Sorry, this is not Vegas here. And hopefully this is not what New York, what some people want New York to be. And they said there was no prostitute. So he returned to Judah and said, I did not find her. Even the local men said there was no prostitute here. Okay. Unusual story. Judah said, let her keep them lest we become a laughing stock. I really sent for this kid, but you could not fight her. He's concerned. And it was about 3 months, page 213, had passed, and Judah was told, your daughter-in-law Tamar has committed adultery, and moreover, she is conceived by harlotry. Judah said, take her out and let her be burnt. Because she was supposed to marry Shelah. He was hesitating, but she was designated to marry. She wasn't, so to speak, it's an interesting concept, because when you're awaiting yibum, when you're awaiting lever of marriage, it's not a status of a marriage, but you can't marry out until you get either yibum or chalitza. Again, there's a whole debate whether our forefathers kept the Torah before Moshe received the Torah at Sinai, which is a separate conversation. But the punishment in Judah's eyes should have been the capital punishment. And she was taken out. She sent word to her father-in-law, saying, by the man to whom these belong, I am with child. So she became pregnant to Judah. And she said, identify, if you please, whose are this signet, this wrap, and this staff. So Tamar is about to be killed. Probably they walked into her cell. They said, what's your last wish? My last wish, I want you to deliver this to my father-in-law and tell him that whoever owns the things in this bag, that is the father of the child. She did not embarrass him publicly. She didn't say anything. Our sages in the Talmud learned from here that it's better to go into the fire furnace than to embarrass someone publicly. The worst thing is to embarrass someone publicly. By the way, often in shul, there's a bar mitzvah boy, and someone thinks he made a mistake in the Torah reading, and someone screams out to correct him. I said, first of all, not always the corrections are proper corrections. Not always mistakes are critical mistakes. But embarrassing someone publicly in front of 400 people, that's much worse than whatever mistake you think that either the chazan or the bar mitzvah, Andrew, you're not going to make any mistakes. Don't worry. What? I'm sure. Don't worry. So that's number one. What happened? And here I want you to go look at the verse in Hebrew. Verse 26. Vayaker Yehuda, vayomer tzadka mimeni, ki al ken lo natatia l'shela bni v'lo esaf od l'da'ata. He said, Judah recognized. And he said, she is right. It is from me, inasmuch as I did not give her to Shelah, my son. And he was not intimate with her anymore. He recognized his mistake. Came to pass, she gave birth. And by the way, our whole lineage, the lineage of King David comes from this marriage. Anyone says, our family is the most... The lineage of King David actually comes from a very, very problematic lineage. If you think about it, we have the story of Judah and Tamar, which is definitely a problematic story. Then we have the story of Ruth, the grandmother of David, who goes in the middle of the night to Boaz, which is also not the way it's done in Bnei Brak. Okay? Then Ruth is a Moabite. The Moab is the child of Lot's daughters with Lot, which is also not the greatest yichus in the world. And then more than that, King David himself was thought to be a bastard child. That's why when Samuel came to King David's father and he said, introduce me to your sons, he didn't even introduce him to David. He was out there with the flock. Number 5. King Solomon was the result of David and Bathsheba, which is also a problematic relationship.
So all the kings are
The lineage of the Davidic dynasty, the lineage of the Mashiach, is a very problematic lineage. They say in the name of the Chafetz Chaim, sometimes a great light comes wrapped in shmatas to this world. So you want to, some things, you look for the shiny cover. Sometimes the greatest gifts in this world actually come from not the best stories. By the way, whenever I speak to young people, they're dating. I'm dating this young boy or young girl from a perfect family. When I tell them, if you hear perfect family, those are the most dangerous families. The perfect families, those are the ones that have skeletons in the freezer, in their basement. If you know the problematic families, there's a crazy uncle, there's this, that. This person has anxiety, this person is a little depressed, this person has stopped working, this person has an anger. Okay, human. The perfect families are the most dangerous families. I'm just letting you know. So if you hear about a perfect family, run the other direction.
Isn't that?
One second. What's the story over here? Why am I bringing you in the story? Because the Tosefta says that the reason Judah is king is because he acknowledged his mistake. He acknowledged his mistake. He acknowledged, by the way, she didn't do it, he didn't have to acknowledge it publicly. He could have said it, he could have just acquitted her for some other reason, but he publicly acknowledged his mistake. He was willing to recognize that, and he lives in solitude in a way. He did not have any more relationships with her, but there's something about leadership. It's an important quality. Rav Yitzchak Hutner discusses the word to acknowledge guilt and the word to thank is the same root in Hebrew. Todah, Hodaya. Thanksgiving in Hebrew is Chag HaHodaya, the holiday of Thanksgiving. And Lehodot Ba'ashma is to acknowledge guilt. Acknowledging guilt is like saying thank you. What's the connection between acknowledging guilt and giving thanksgiving? Rav Hutner says the essence of giving thanks, of being the ability to give thanks to someone else, is to acknowledge that you needed someone else. Is the understanding that you cannot do it on your own. And that means you can't really be an arrogant person giving thanks. By definition, giving thanks is an act of humility. Because giving thanks means you're indebted to someone. Acknowledging wrongdoing is also seeing your own shortcomings. So it's the same source. It's the same exercise. Take a look. King Solomon writes in Proverbs, source 4, he who pursues ill-gotten gain makes trouble for his household. He who spurns gifts will live long. Because when you receive a gift, that makes you indebted to someone else. Makes you indebted. And it's not easy being indebted to someone else. It's better not to be indebted. The Talmud, look at source 5. The Talmud in Beitza speaks, in general, that someone who's dependent on other people for their livelihood, meaning you don't feel like you're earning a livelihood, but people are supporting you, not that you're earning it, your life is not a life. Because you constantly feel indebted. You constantly feel indebted. You don't want to always feel indebted. So for example, if someone welcomes you, yeah, stay in my home, you can be my guest. Benjamin Franklin says, fish and visitors stink after 3 days. You stay for 1 day, at some point, it's an uncomfortable existence. Being dependent. At some point, the ability to have your own source becomes monumental. By the way, that's why people like to minimize. Why is it difficult to give thanks? People try to minimize what you've done for them. You say, oh, he did it for the money, he did it for the honor, he did it because that's his job. Because if you don't do that, you're indebted to a doctor, to a lawyer, to a friend, to a neighbor. So what people do, they do kfiyu tova. From kfui comes from the word, you have to be a kofer. You have to be a heretic in a way. You have to say, no, this is not so great what they've done. So it's not about giving things. It's about acknowledging. It's about understanding, and it's about recognizing things rather than giving things. Saying thank you is easy. Being indebted to someone else is difficult. We are essentially giving thanks is understanding that we're indebted. I quoted Talmud in Horayot. He spoke about leadership. You think I'm giving you schara ani noten lachem? You think I'm giving you authority? I'm giving you servitude. A leader is understanding, if you understand the responsibility of leadership, to be a king, understand the debt, the responsibility that's on your shoulders, that you realize that leadership is really not fun. Leadership is servitude. And Yehuda, by his life, his mother is able to, his mother, the first 3 children, she's too overwhelmed by the pain of not being loved by Yaakov as much as Rachel. She can't recognize God's goodness. She's too overwhelmed. God heard my affliction. God sees that I'm hated. Now my husband is going to go with me. The first 3 kids have insecurity in their names. By the 4th child, for whatever reason, at that moment, Leah feels enough blessing in her life that she's able to recognize what Hashem has done to her. She's going to be the mother of the Jewish people. The Jewish people are going to be her descendants. And she says, Hapam, now I recognize Odette. She calls her son, Yehuda, Jew, which the essence of our name is recognizing God's goodness to us and giving thanks and understand how we're indebted to God for that things. And Judah embodies that in his own life when his leadership is tested, when he fails with Joseph at the beginning and then he fixes it, when he fails with Tamar at the beginning and then he acknowledges it, he proves that he understands the concept of giving gratitude and the ability to acknowledge and true humility that awards real leadership. Thank you so much. Yes?
You added in here Exodus 22.
The first of the Ten Commandments.
Yes.
The very beginning of God speaking to the Jewish people. Why, everything. At the end of the day,
It's about us being
God,
indebted.
we're in debt. Yes,
Yeah,
you
right.
got to recognize.
Right.
I'm the one who took you out of the land of Egypt. You would have been a slave. It's kind of that's where it starts. You can't skip that. Yes.
I'll give you a cosmic view of it. In the Torah, we mention failures, we mention greatness, we mention people who are struggling with their lives and mistakes and good things that they do. In the New Testament, which is sort of written as a copy of it, Jesus and no one makes any mistakes.
I'm not a.
And one of the fundamental issues that we are able to write about people and see the strengths and the weaknesses,
We don't have saints.
you know?
Our saints are imperfect
Right.
by definition.
Which makes them even more perfect.
Perfection. We don't strive for perfection. We strive for growth and we strive for wholesomeness. Perfection is for God. It's divine.
That's,
Mushlam is the word for perfect in Hebrew.
yeah.
We don't try to be mushlam, we try to be shalim, to be whole. It's two very different things. Andrew, we're ready to party?
Oh, I was
Ever
just
listen?
reading, I was reading the interpretation of
Amazing. Excellent. Okay.
that. Just mine's literally 10 pages away.
Okay. Excited.